One of the other cases I'm working on, which is really a fascinating case, is a case involving Ocean World. Now, Ocean World, like SeaWorld and some of the other types of entities, are these aquariums that have, swim with the dolphins and things like that. Well, Ocean World is one of the biggest ones in the world, and they have them all over the place. And particularly in Dominican Republic and South America and places like that, it is unbelievably popular. And these companies make a lot of money, in this industry. Well, when they want dolphins, what they have to do is they have to follow an international treaty. And they have to request that the dolphins be captured by an organization. In this case, the Taiji Museum in Japan. And what you do is you request what is called an exportation permit. And that is, please, I would like to adopt 12 dolphins, 5 dolphins, 20 dolphins, in this case 12 dolphins, and they go out and capture them for you. And they certify that they're captured in a humane way so that, there's no cutting up of animals and terrible treatment and things like that. They issue the importation permit. Now Ocean World has adopted the dolphins. Now they have to go to the state or country or area that they want to be at, in this case the Dominican Republic, and they have to petition for an importation permit. And that is, please allow us to have these animals that were properly captured placed in a facility that, we can, have people come and see them and swim with them and educate people as to, how human these animals are and the interaction we can have. Ordinarily, once you get an exportation permit, once they've certified, that the dolphins are properly captured, generally nobody really complains about the importation permit because all it is sort of as long as you have a place to store them and well, what happened is one of these fanatical groups, one of these groups that takes extreme positions on things, decided that they don't want dolphins in captivity. They would rather them be dead, okay? Because if they don't capture these dolphins, what happens is a large portion of them are killed because there's a population control issue in certain parts of the world, and some countries, like Japan, eat them, okay? So, and you can't in America control what they do in some other place. So what they did is they went to the Dominican Republic, and they got a guy as their spokesperson who won the Academy Award for a movie called The Cove, okay? And they had him be the spokesperson. He goes in there and says, you shouldn't give the importation permit because Ocean World was killing dolphins and cutting them up while they were capturing them. And you didn't know that, but I got secret film. I was there. And he shows them film, and the film is showing these dolphins and a whole bunch of people trying to, capture these dolphins, and then they show them hanging the dolphins up by their flute, their tail, and they showed some they just threw in a truck, and the dolphins are, just rolling around, and they're cut up, and they're bleeding, and then they show where they're actually cutting the dolphin up for food purposes. Now, that particular film is not the film of the dolphins that were adopted. That is a secret film from an illegal distribution plant that somebody took film of back in 1999. These individuals adopted dolphins in 2006. The capture of the dolphins and the harvesting and the throwing on there was from an illegal operation that went on during that time period, which has been shut down and sanctioned and people criminally imposed. But what they did is they put together this incredible video that you and I could sit and watch, and you can't tell the difference. It looks like the same area where these dolphins are adopted. It looks like the same area where they were captured and stuff, so it made it look like that. Of course, these people, who were the prime ministers were horrified, and this gentleman who was leading this multi-billion-dollar group, because they get, if you ever see Save the Whales and all these kinds of things, send your donation in, they have literally hundreds of millions of dollars that they use for these kinds of crusades. So they go and they get Academy Award-winning digital editors to make the film look exactly like that capture. And I'm telling you, it is so difficult to determine that you just cannot even imagine, that somebody could doctor that. Our client then gets denied the ability to bring the dolphin in. And so what happens to the dolphin? Well, they don't survive because you can't give them back. You can't release them in the wild. You can't do anything. And they refused to grant the importation permit, costing Ocean World over $100 million. I mean, that's a lot of zeros. In that cultural world, we call that, you're not making so much money, it's like telephone number money. 954-232-12, that's how much money it is. When you're ever talking big money, it's like, oh, that's telephone money. And when people say that, it's like, oh my God, that's 9-digit, 10-digit money. So you're talking about stupid amounts of money, okay? And so they file a lawsuit against these groups. And they say, you know, you have tortiously interfered with our relationship with the Dominican Republic. You've interfered with our business arrangement, and you did it in an unjustifiable way. And we're suing you for $100 million. They respond and say, absolutely not. That's a true video of the adoption and capture of those 12 dolphins, and, you know, go to hell. Okay? And they hire 5 law firms and pay them $1 gajillion and say, just drive these plaintiff lawyers nuts. And you wouldn't believe they asked for, like, in law, you can ask for production of documents. So they would, like, ask for documents, and they would bank up like a tanker truck, you know, and offload 8,000 documents, all messed up. Not organized in any way, duplicates, something's missing. I mean, it's just a nightmare. And there's these 2 lead plaintiff lawyers who are very savvy, but they're against 5 national law firms, if you will, that have hundreds and hundreds of lawyers. And they realize they're getting killed. So they call on Scott. I'm one of these specialists who will go and step into any nightmare, any horrible situation, any large case. That's where I function well. A lot of people are very intimidated by that. I like that stuff. So they want me to come in, and they want me to help them because they don't think that the tape is real, but you know, they don't have any evidence to the contrary. We do some research, and we're kind of tech nuts in our world, and we look at the film, and there's something wrong about it. And when you have film actually has 2 parts to it. It has the top part you see, and it has the lower part, which has a series of codes and numbers and digits, which correspond to the film. So if you doctor that film, those digits aren't going to correlate, okay? So even if the film looks perfect, you know, those things don't correlate. So when we do that, we get top people to do it, and we find out that the film isn't exactly what it's supposed to be. More research, one of the lawyers finds an old video from 1999 that has this exact footage on it, okay? And that footage is then turned into a documentary years later. And who is on the cover as the star of that video? This guy who's the Academy Award winner who just got done saying that's absolute. I was standing there when that occurred in 2006. Okay? So the lawyers are apparently involved in this conspiracy, right? Because they got to know. So I sue the lawyers inside of this giant case, which is going to go to trial, you know, in 6-9 months. I sue the lawyers and say, you defrauded us because when we asked you for what is the real tape of the capture, you sent us fake tape. They say, absolutely not. That tape is absolutely true. Go through all this discovery. We talked to the judge. The judge gives me 3-week trial just on the fraud. Now remember, my underlying case is that I am saying that that group and a bunch of people interfered with my relationship. When you establish a relationship with somebody, the law says somebody can't unjustifiably interfere and ruin your business, okay? The only defense to saying I interfered is to say I was justified in interfering. For example, the video's true. You were trying to dupe the Dominican Republic into getting dolphin in when they really were cut up and, you know, you were part of that charade. Well, that would be a defense. So they, in their defense to their lawsuit, says, oh, it's true, it's true, it's true. In the defense to my suit against the lawyers, it's true, it's true, it's true. Okay? We start taking depositions. We get into hearings. We have these foremost experts on the stand. I put the Academy Award winner on. We do all these things. And we start looking at the video, and we show it on the screens and stuff. And all of a sudden it starts to become very clear about 2 weeks into trial, that video is not true. So if you say the video is true, and I prove that you were lying to me, and that it really isn't the actual capture of those 12 dolphins, these lawyers and these people, they're going to get sanctioned, God knows how much money. Who knows whether they're going to have bar license removed, they're not going to be able to practice law. Who knows what sanctions they're going to have, okay? And that has nothing to do with the trial, okay? So what do? They realize we back them in a corner, I ask them all these great questions, and they're just sideways, and they start saying, what's the only defense? Well, it's not actually the capture of the 12 dolphins. It's the capture of some of the dolphin. Well, that's very different, right? Then it's the capture of all the dolphin. In order to not get sanctions against themselves, they start saying, well, we weren't really sure. It was some of the dolphin. We didn't mean to give you that tape, blah, blah, blah. And as we go along in the trial, I'm sort of skinning them down to where they get to like almost closing argument, and they're saying, that's not the capture of the dolphin. It's just other dolphin, and somewhere in that videotape, there might be some of the dolphin that they captured, but it's still a bad thing that they're doing. Now follow me. That's in this fraud trial that's inside the big giant trial. What did they just do? I don't care whether the judge rules on this or not. What did they just do? They just admitted that the tape wasn't really true. Now let's go over to the $100 million, $500 million case. The only defense that you can argue is the video's true. I'm going to put the lawyers on the stand when it's on court TV. I'm going to put the head people, I'm going to put the Academy Award winner on the stand and say, with a big giant 50-inch plasma screen, I'm going to say, do you remember me? You remember about 6 months ago, 9 months ago, in 2012, when I asked you the following question, you gave the following answer? Well, it's not really a dolphin. It's kind of a dolphin, but I don't know if it's a dolphin. And then on the next screen right next to it, it's going to say, that's absolutely the capture of the dolphin. And that's horrible. So you can imagine what you're talking about here and the possibilities of how you work a case by knowing about the video footage and knowing those kinds of things. And so what happens is you're now being made aware, wow, that's a pretty cool case. When the case gets set for trial, I will let you guys know. If you want to come and watch it, if it's on TV, I'll tell you when it's on TV. But you start to see it's a monstrous case. And to show you how public opinion can be swayed, and so you understand how things like the O.J. Simpson case and some of these other cases where they're worried about what people think, I'm fairly well known in the courtroom, okay? So I go out, I'm on a break, and up comes the chief of all sheriffs and bailiffs. Like every single courtroom has an officer in it. This woman is the supervisor of all of them. Oh, hey, Scott, how you doing? Great, great, great. Happy, happy. What are you doing here? I said, well, I'm in the dolphin trial. And she says, what side are you on? I said, well, I'm Ocean World side. She said, oh, I feel so bad for you. Geez, what they're doing to those dolphins. Show you how propaganda works, And I said, well, why don't you come and sit in the closing argument? And tell me what you think, okay? Now, we filmed the closing arguments. I'm going to send you guys the link so you can see the closing arguments in the fraud trial. And you will see me about as animated as this, okay? And then you'll see the other people get up and you'll see them wiggle and say stuff, and you just make your own judgment when you see that. I'm going to send her the link, and she'll either show it in thing, or you guys will all get the link. And, you'll get to see the example of the closing argument in that particular case. So, aside from the other trial matters and stuff, I got these things going on. As you know, with the New York stuff, this is monstrous. You're talking about, if you talk to your friend or your parents and they know some lawyer, and the guy says, I got 10 cases, he would be bronzed. He'd be like the greatest guy. I'm talking about 10,000 cases. I'm talking about there was a sewage pipe that broke. We might have to, on behalf of 3,000 residents, sue the county because we found a report that said they knew that the pipes were going to break. But they said, don't worry about it. Okay? Imagine what kind of case that's going to be. So you can start to get an understanding of the magnitude of what these things could be.